Welcome to the spiritual healing class. Welcome. Great that you join in this. So this is the last class of the series, and it is practicing the art. The title was Practicing the Art, basically number 2. So we're here, we're doing this, we're practicing this, and you get a lot of possibilities for healing. That's will not be only in my dream, but also in yours. So today I want to take a look at the world, because one of the ideas is like, okay, this world is of your own making, but there's something else going on with it too, because if I look with vision to this world, say with Christ vision to this world is a different place, and literally I start to recognize what is really there. So it is not what we think it is. Now anyway, I want to dive into that and using Joel's words from The Art of Spiritual Healing, just a paragraph or two, and from the Miracle Healer's Handbook, I use a part of the little bit of it is called Is Peace in This World Possible? That's one part that is actually in the Manual for Teachers of A Course in Miracles. And then there's a little part that's a conclusion almost, which is totally helpful just to remember, oh yes, there's nothing outside of me, so I shine this light into this world. So that's going to be the conclusion. I spoil it already, but that doesn't matter. So starting with the idea of the world, we want to leave the world behind right now. We want to come into, say, our inner world, and we go within. That's what we want to do now. In this moment that we come together, we always go inward. We relax into that, leaving our concepts of the world outside and leaving our concerns about the world outside, or about our family, or about our finances, or who knows what kind of concerns you walk around with. So we want to leave that outside to come together in a place where something else is possible. And then so how does this relate to the world that I want to share with you about? We're going to find out. So I'm not spoiling that immediately. So I hope your curiosity is triggered, and because it will help you to discover together with me, like, how does this actually work? How am I actually supposed to look at this world, or to the news that I see, or to how does this work? So I will start reading from Joel, say 2 paragraphs of The Art of Spiritual Healing, because it's also related to this idea of world. This is God's universe, the universe of spirit. And if we do not live in the universe of spirit, but insist rather on tabernacling in this world, then we withdraw ourselves from my kingdom, from the kingdom of God. When we are living in time, the past and future, we remove ourselves from the kingdom of heaven. There is no kingdom of heaven yesterday, and there's no kingdom of heaven tomorrow. The kingdom of heaven is a state of grace which can only be experienced now. That now may be 3 o'clock or 8 o'clock or 12 o'clock, but it's always now. To go back to an hour ago in memory, or to concern ourselves with tomorrow, is deliberately to remove ourselves from the kingdom of heaven. But to live in the realization that this second God is expressing itself, God is fulfilling its own destiny, is to live in the kingdom here on earth. The kingdom of heaven here on earth. Okay, so that I will repeat that last sentence. But to live in the realization that this second God is expressing itself, God is fulfilling its own destiny, is to live in the kingdom of heaven here on earth. So that's a nice reference. And I'd like to use that to sketch a setup or a frame, if you want, for this idea of the world. It's like we got the instruction now already. It's like we still leave our concepts outside. You don't have to bring them in. You don't have to have any ideas about the world. And you don't have to have any ideas related to the time cycle that you think is continuous for a moment. No, not at all. So here Joel says, the kingdom of heaven is right here and now. It's not going to happen any other time. It didn't happen yesterday. It didn't happen in the future. It's happening right now. This is your reference point. This is where heaven on earth is coming down to us. So that is what we say, keep in mind. That's what we practice, just like we did yesterday, for instance, in the entering into the fourth dimension. It has nothing to do with the three-dimensional world that you think is there. So that's where it comes down to now. Slowly but certainly the idea starts to creep in that this world is of your own making, that this world that you see and that you have ideas about and that you think that you live in is really not the world that is really there. Because if it would be really there, then all the misery, disease, disaster and death that you see and experience would also be real. It's like, no, that is not the case. So bring it back to the idea of this is God's universe. See, then we still have to get out of our bubble of, confinement, or our bubble of limitation of our own ideas, and shake out of that, just to enter into God's universe in awareness. To enter into the awareness of God's presence. So. And this is, of course, what healing is. So this is an essential part in what we. This is an essential part in what we train ourselves into in this spiritual healing class too. So you find yourself in a world. It seems to be that you're participating in that, and that you're really part of it, and that you function there. See, and then. That is true on a moment-by-moment basis. It is not in the way that you think you are present. So that's why we always have to deal with what you're thinking about it, or what your ideas about it are. Because knowing that you're thinking these things, and knowing that you can look beyond that, is the opportunity that you need to get out of your concepts and enter into the present moment. Basically that's what Joel continuously teaches, like practicing the presence, coming back to this moment, letting everything go in order to be fully present here in this moment. That is an infinite moment of fulfillment, of grace. It's like literally, this is given by grace. This is grace that is being offered. So we need to remember that. Apparently we forget about that all the time, and it seems then like an alien idea to have something like a heaven somewhere, or the kingdom of heaven, that it would be in you. How can it possibly be in the description that you hold, that you have about yourself? That would be impossible. So that's why we have to let go of these ideas and at least consider that it is not the way that you think it is, that your reality has nothing to do with your ideas about it, that what God is has nothing to do with what you think about it. And the same with healing, like what healing is has not anything to do with your ideas about it. So starting to become more and more free of the concepts, you also become like, you feel lighter. You're not limited by your own ideas anymore, and you discover that there's also say, more to explore in terms of openness, in terms of communication. There are some real new discoveries to be made. So then in the urtext, there's a whole, say, chapter about that's in the Manual for Teachers 22, say the 22nd pamphlet in it, is peace in this world possible? So then in the last couple of paragraphs, this is being shared. I'll read that to you. Peace is impossible to those who look on war. Peace is inevitable to those who offer peace. How easily, then, is your judgment of the world escaped? It is not the world which makes peace seem impossible. It is the world you see that is impossible. Well, this is what we're talking about. It is not the world which seems peace, it is not the world which makes peace seem impossible. It is the world you see that is impossible. Yet has God's judgment on this distorted world redeemed it and made it fit to welcome peace. Yet as God's judgment on this distorted world redeemed it and made it fit to welcome peace, and peace descends on it in joyous answer. Peace now belongs here, because a thought of God has entered. But what else but a thought of God turns hell to heaven merely by being what it is? The earth bows down before its gracious presence, and it leans down in answer to raise it up again. Now is the question different. It is no longer, can peace be possible in this world, but instead, is it not impossible that peace be absent here? So I love that. So this is very much the same, like in terms of content, as what Joel is sharing with us. So let's go through this. Peace is impossible to those who look on war. Like if you're blinded by an idea that this world is full of war, disease, disaster, and you say value these ideas, or you confirm the reality of that to yourself all the time by thinking that it really happens, by thinking that it must be real because there really seem to be people hurt, and you name the whole scenario. So that's good practice right now, right? So and then it is like peace is inevitable to those who offer peace. If you offer peace and not distracted by the reflections that you see, but you offer peace, you offer, say, forgiveness, you forgive everything you see, and you start to come from your inner, say, extension of the light that you are, then peace is inevitable. So that's all easy said, right? It is not the world which makes peace seem impossible. No, it is the world you see that is impossible. So no matter what you try to do with this impossible world that you see, like if you try to do something with that world, you would never get out of it. You would never see peace. So then peace would always seem to be impossible. So that's a really good thing to remember when you think again about, is peace possible in this world? It's like, oh, wait a minute. Peace is possible in this world, but not in the world as I see it. That is the problem. The way that I see the world, the way that I think this is all set up, the way that I think that time exists and that there is a past and a future, and that there's no fulfillment in this moment. That is what makes it impossible in your dream of yourself, in your idea about yourself. But seeing that there's another vision possible what you can call like Christ vision. Like there's a way of looking at this world that is totally different. It has nothing to do with time. It has to do with what is really there. And that is, say, an extension of the kingdom. That is where the kingdom of heaven is. It is a reflection of the kingdom of heaven within you. And you offer peace. You bring that, you extend that, what you actually experience into this world. And that is an extension of peace, if it's not conflicted by your limited ideas. Yet has God's judgment on this distorted world redeemed it and made it fit to welcome peace. So it's like there's a possibility for you to experience this and to see this in a whole different way. God took care of that, so to speak. God took care of it by sending you the Comforter, sending you Spirit and offering, say, a new vision continuously every moment that you want to receive that. So the Redeemer is given, like your Comforter is given. It is just that you have to make use of it. So if you see a distorted world, you ask for help. If you see conflict, you ask for help. You're not trying to solve it there somewhere. No, you ask for help. And this say, a Comforter is bringing you, they're coming to you with an answer that will be totally helpful, that will literally lift you out of this place, out of this idea about this place. It takes you out of your perception. So I made it fit welcome to welcome peace, and peace descends on it in joyous answer. Peace now belongs here because a thought of God has entered. What else but a thought of God turns hell to heaven merely by being what it is? The earth bows down before its gracious presence, and it leans down in answer to raise it up again. It's like the place where heaven and earth meet is in you. Like you're literally the chain, the part of the chain that links it. By you receiving that new vision, heaven and hell are, or heaven and earth basically, are connected. Because you're the one that allowed this change of vision to happen to you. And that's setting everything free. That frees the world. That's redeeming the world. That is saving the world as we know it from Jesus. Like, this is how that is being accepted. And so then that's exactly the place where heaven and earth come together. That is in you and not anywhere else. See, and that can only happen now. It cannot happen another moment. It cannot happen whenever you think you're ready. It cannot be that it happened like 2 years ago and now it's gone or something. Like, no, none of that is possible. So practicing this, like this is practicing healing really for yourself, to come into an experience of, I'm present here in this moment. Actually now I am, connecting heaven and earth together because I'm right here receiving that for myself and extending this into this world by my acceptance of it. So then I go through this pretty quick, I recognize that, but which is great. If you have any questions, you can ask them and see. So now is the question different. It is no longer can peace be possible in this world, but instead, knowing that this whole world is gone, knowing that it was just based on your ideas, knowing that your limiting ideas, literally reflected back a limited world. Seeing that that is over, seeing that that has no meaning, that is gone, so to speak, in your practice, in this one moment that you start to accept what is being shared, the question then becomes, is it not impossible that peace be absent here? See, there's a double negative in this. Is it not impossible that peace be absent here? Is it not possible? I'll read it again. Is it not impossible that peace be absent here? There's actually 3 times a negative. Is it not impossible that peace be absent here? So it's not the same as when I say peace is always here. No, it's like, is it not impossible that peace be absent here? You see, in the Course in Miracles, there's a lot of double negatives in it, and you cannot read them just, at least I can't, maybe you can, read right through it and know what it says. So you're like stumbling over it, and it's like, what is this sentence? And is it not impossible that peace be absent here? Now that's a nice one to contemplate. So I'm not going to spill everything here. So this is a nice one for you to contemplate. So I will put it on the website too. Is it not impossible that peace be absent here? So do you get it? So I love this. I love this. So it is going to sink down in you, this question. Is peace possible here? Is it not impossible that peace be absent? And it's like, wow, that's so great, because actually you feel that there's a step of surrender in this already. Like, with my own intellect, I cannot even get this right now. That is so great. But actually I start to feel something. I start to experience something. When I read this, it is doing something with me. It's like, what intelligence is coming to me? Like, what is speaking to me right now? It's amazing, because it actually brings me in a state of peace when I allow this to affect me. It brings me in a state of peace that is happening right now. So it's like, this is really a key sentence that is a key to heaven. You know, it's like, I'm giving up my defenses. I'm giving up my attacks. I'm actually coming from peace. I'm actually offering peace in this moment. So now I have an opportunity to also directly come into a peaceful experience of this world. Not the world as I see it, but as it is. Well, it's not mysterious. It really is not. But it is a matter of being open to receive, feeling what is being said, coming into the experience of it. It's like, look at what is being presented here. Am I actually hearing this? Oh, that's so lovely. Once you hear it, you feel how blessed you are. That this has everything to do with grace. It's like, this is a universe of grace. And you're in it. And you have every opportunity, like every moment it comes back. Every moment you have the opportunity to live in that, instead of your own limited description of what you think your world is. So why not melt into this grace that is available and allowing peace to overflow you? So that is so beautiful. So I didn't expect that to happen. That's miraculous what is occurring in this by reading it. So that's always so good, and that's so great about coming together in this class, and that we stand still long enough to actually hear what's being shared, and seeing that in that moment everything is given, and then it starts to make sense altogether. Like then you come into the remembrance of what is given. But you got to take some time for it, in that sense, to sit with it and allow it allow yourself to open up to hear this. So the part that is, say, fighting with this world, or being in conflict with this world, or not experiencing peace, but seeing war and attack and all that. The last part that I want to share is this, that so this is also a key. In fact, there's a key. If you come to the acceptance of what I'm going to share with you, then it makes a lot of sense in order for you to turn the key into forgiveness and peace of yourself and others. So I'll read the first paragraph to you. The secret, this from chapter 27, the secret of salvation is but this, that you are doing this unto yourself. No matter what the form of the attack is, this still is true. Whoever takes the role of enemy and of attacker, this is still the truth. Whatever seems to be the cause of any pain and suffering you feel, this is still true. See, this is why I read this in the spiritual healing class too. It's like these are all keys for, say, unlocking unlimited potential of healing. You know, these are keys that are going to be given, that you can use for yourself to open things up for you. I'm doing this to myself. Like if I see a world of limitation, of attack and war and all that, I'm doing this to myself. Nobody's doing that to me. I'm doing that to myself. And does it have anything to do with spiritual universe that God is in? No. So no matter what the form of attack is, this is going to be the lesson that you will learn, that you're doing it to yourself until you don't. And so that's why this has such an incredible healing potential or healing power. See, it's all, again, based on forgiveness. Oh my God, I'm doing it to myself. Why would I want to do that any longer? Like I see that there's no need for me to do this any longer. I don't need to attack myself. If there's a spiritual universe, a God universe, and if I can see this world really for what it is, that is what I want. I don't want to see limitation or circle around in pain and suffering. So I like unlimited healing power. It's unbelievable. So here it is. For you would not react at all to figures in a dream. You knew that you were dreaming. Let them be as hateful and as vicious as they may. They could have no effect on you unless you failed to recognize it is your dream. This single lesson learned will set you free from all suffering, whatever form it takes. The Holy Spirit is an essential sentence again, a key sentence. The Holy Spirit will repeat this one inclusive lesson of deliverance until it has been learned, regardless of the form of suffering that brings you pain. Whatever hurt you bring to him, he will make answer, and he with this very simple truth. For this one answer takes away the cause of every form of sorrow and of pain. The form affects his answer not at all, for he would teach but the one single cause of all of them, no matter what their form. And you will understand that miracles reflect the simple statement, I have done this thing, and it is this I would undo. See, that's another key sentence. I have done this thing, and it is this I would undo. Like I've made something real for myself, and I really believe in it. I get completely stuck in it at times. But I'm allowing it to be undone. It is this that I want to undo. I don't need that any longer for, say, to to continue my ideas about myself, or to hold on to my identity as I define myself, or to hold on to a world that I define as myself, the way that I think it is. Because it brings suffering, it brings pain, it brings all of that you know very well. So, like I said, incredible healing power, healing offering here. So practicing the art is really this, is coming to the place where you say, like, oh yes, I'm doing this to myself. And it is exactly this that I want to undo, to let it be undone for me. I don't want this any longer, because I would love to come and say, to see this setup, this thing here, really as it is, and not as I dream of it, in a dream of limitation and fear. So that is in fact the practice and the training, and that is, you will learn it. That's what it says too. It's like the Holy Spirit will repeat this one lesson until it's being learned. If it's learned, it's gone. The whole theme is gone out of your world. It literally dissolves when it's undone. And then there's no need for you to bring it back in. So that really works that way. And so that's why it's so good to stand still at what is occurring for me right now. I'm experiencing this limitation, or I experience this pain. And I hand this over to Spirit, because I don't want this any longer. I know that I don't have to suffer through this. There's another way of looking at this. There's another way of dealing with it. There's a whole new universe that is here for me, that I want to see and be part of, instead of the limited contraction that I find myself in. So that is the invitation and the practice. So slowly but certainly we move closer to applying this, doing it, remembering it, taking time to really stand still with this and have a profound deep prayer, or a moment of communication, allowing healing to occur in us. This is, say, the absolute practicality of it that we're doing here. So I'm really happy to share that with you, because of the fact that it brings hope, and it brings it dissolves attack, and it dissolves conflict, and that is not the only thing. But when that is dissolved, like there's place for peace and for harmony and for a direct communication with your Creator that will answer every question you can possibly have, and it will bring fulfillment. So resuming this, what I just shared with you, is in fact this. The practice is really to become present here, to let go of any idea that you hold about anything at all. About yourself, about your world, about God, about healing, about history, about future. Like leaving that all for what it is. Admitting basically that you are sick and tired of it, that you don't want to hold on to it any longer, that you don't want that anymore. That's basically the point where you wholeheartedly can say, like, no, I have no use for this anymore. And then see that it can shift. So that the shift is not just the disappearance of your conflict, but also entering into a whole new realm of, the kingdom of heaven. You enter into a whole new realm of peace, of joy, of abundance, of, a deep relaxation with a security, with so much certainty that you will have no doubt about anything in that sense. So that is the offering in this, on a moment-by-moment basis. You return back to this present moment more and more often. It's like you're literally collapsing time to enter into this present moment. And there it is again. Oh, you got lost in track of, you lost in you're lost in the past, or you're lost in the future, and now you return back here. Oh yes, this is the only thing there is, this present moment. This is where all healing occurs. This is where I receive all the answers that I need. This is the place where I get the instruction about what to do, where to go, what to say, and all that. This is exactly the place where I want to stay, no matter where I find myself. Like, in fact, I'm not located at all then at that point. I'm not going anywhere from there. I'm staying put, staying right here and right now. So practice that with me. I love that. So thank you for doing that with me, and thank you so much for being part of this series of the Spiritual Healing 2 class. And I hope to see you soon. Thank you.